murals. First, small murals in different parts of the city. And I want to say that we were first greeted with great skepticism. We would go into communities and say, we'd like to do a mural here. And people said, well, you know what, quite frankly, we're not interested in art. Our neighborhood has been decimated by years and years and years of poverty and neglect, and I'm not sure why you think art is going to turn something around. We're interested in jobs, we're interested in housing. Can we talk about housing with the city? And we would say, well, you could, but we're not really the people to talk to about this. But we think a mural can do something here. And so we would say, over and over again, what would you like on that wall? And eventually, a block captain in North Philadelphia in Strawberry Mansion, Miss Rachel Bagby, said to me, you know, you all been through this neighborhood now 3-4 times. You seem sincere. Why don't you come in? Let's talk. She said, look, I got to tell you something. The only visual stimulation we have here are billboards advertising alcohol and tobacco. We're not going to the Philadelphia Museum of Art. It's enough for us just to take care of this block. And she said, and so I think you're really being naive. So I said, well, Miss Bagby, I mean, really, what do you want? We want to do whatever you want. Look at all these blank walls covered with graffiti. So she said, it's interesting. She said, things are either done to us or not done. So interesting, you should ask what we want. She said, okay. She said, come to this next block meeting. And she brought a lot of the block captains in the area, and they said, well, you know what? We grew up on farms, family farm in the South. We'd like our kids and grandkids to know where we came from. And down the street, we'd like Dr. King. Around the block, we'd like Malcolm X. And we'd like some landscapes, too, because you know what? There's not like we're getting out to see scenery. So we said, okay, that's great. So we started to deliver art as a city service in neighborhoods where mostly the other city employees were the police. And we started painting about people's lives and representing people's stories, their struggles, their aspirations, their dreams, their hopes, their triumphs on big 3-story walls. And people started to change their mind. That skepticism started to wear away because we would do a mural, and while it's not like a panacea, it's not a cure-all, murals can show us the catalytic role that art can play in the life of the city. I am absolutely convinced of that. And sometimes, when you want things to change, you have to try a non-traditional intervention. That I know. You've got to go in with a B12 shot. And in neighborhoods where there was graffiti everywhere and just trash, the going in with art that was made in part by people who were there, not art that was imposed on people or parachuted down from the sky, was a positive sign that people cared, that things could change, and more importantly, that government could be effective. So we just kept working and working and working, doing one mural after the next, and people would look at the lot in front and say, you know what, this lot is filled with junk, I don't want to take it. We're part of this, I don't want to take that, what do we do? So we said, okay, let's call in Philadelphia Green. And then we realized that people were having a hard time getting a hold of city government. So we put together a resource guide to demystify city government. Like, why shouldn't people in neighborhoods that are struggling to get city services? Of course they should. My former boss would always call me in and say, the streets commissioner called and said a group of artists reported that the pothole hasn't been fixed. Is that you? I said, guilty. That's us. Definitely, it's us. But we felt like we're on the front lines of change, and we wanted to do everything we could to be a good citizen. We didn't feel it was enough to do art, quite frankly. As great as I think the art was, it's not great, like it was great art, it was not that sophisticated, but it was inspiring. But it certainly wasn't enough, and people deserved more. But art could be catalytic, and that's what was exciting to me. I'm a fan of murals, but I didn't know the power they could have. I saw it with my own eyes, and that started to make me believe in the potential for this.